Hi, this is Justin from Whiting Services Heating and Air Conditioning. Today we are going to be replacing AC coil and outdoor unit. Our guys replaced this furnace a couple of years ago. This is a 95% condensing furnace, two-stage Gibson, and we are going to be installing a Goodman AC unit on top of it. You can see this is the old AC coils. They used to build the plenum around them instead of having it in a case. We're going to take that out. We're actually going to take this whole plenum out. If you look up here, you can see it's got a flexible connector. We're going to pull that out. This trunk is actually only 12 inches wide, so undersized for sure. But the unit's been running okay for its entire lifetime. It's a 2.5 ton unit, so we're putting a 2.5 ton back in there, so it should be okay. I don't foresee any problems. You know, they say that the unit does an okay job for the house. I don't have any complaints about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the coil right on top and then build a custom transition piece right up to the 12-inch duct. That way a little less restriction, if anything, compared to what's happening now, where the air just comes up and slams into the roof of this plenum and then has to force its way up through a 12-inch transition. So if anything, hopefully that should reduce our drag on the airflow a little bit. So yeah, another thing is it looks like we're gonna have a transition piece with it. Well, I call them a double offset transition, where your transition piece has a slant this way. It also has a slant that way. So it's a little bit trickier to get your piece just right because of that. It's easier if you got one side that's straight and one side that's slanted to measure it, cut it, and fit it in there. But if you got two that are slanted, it's a little bit trickier, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, well, let's get started. I'm going to start taking this apart. My other guy, he's outside, and he is removing the outdoor unit as we speak. So by the time I get this thing ready to pull, I should be able to cut these refrigerant lines, and we'll be good to go. You can see these hangers that the guys put on here when they swapped out the furnace, and that's to hold the coil and everything up while we pull the furnace out from underneath. Those typically, they're just sitting right on top of the old furnace, which came up to here. Hey, bud. What do you got? Oh, you're cutting them?
Yeah,
cool.
probably bring in a trash bag.
Yeah.
That's what I need a set of.
You need one of these?
Yeah, I haven't had it in a while.
Hell yeah, I'll get you one. I might have an extra one around. Oh, look.
You know what? I might. No, I looked. I think I gave a pair to like James. And,
I believe it.
like, you know.
what I normally do when I have these flexible connectors, especially if I'm pulling them out, which I almost always do, I just basically just cut it with my duct knife. Some guys like these. I never did like them. I really don't have anything against them, but I just never preferred them. I like to do hard metal. I think I got it. There we go. Did I get cut? Maybe. Alright, so we have our flex connector cut. Drain lines cut. Now start cutting this tape. Let's see. What we got here? How did... Plenty of tape. I don't really like using tape if I don't have to. I typically use silicone sealant, some gray silicone caulk, just to close up any holes that aren't tight. That's just my preference. I mean, technically, you know, mastic sealant is the best. To totally get your duct system sealed airtight. Doesn't look very pretty. It's kind of messy looking, but it does the job. It does seal your duct. Now we're gonna get all this cleaned up. Get all this tape off of here. And then we'll set our coil. Looks like Steve has the old unit already out. Alright, got our coil. Alright, so I'm gonna put a bead of caulk. I'll put a little extra in the corners. And then just a bead. And you'll see I'm using the silver caulk. A lot of guys will say, oh, you can use the red high temp. In my experience, it's not true. I've used silver, clear, plenty of times. Never once had a problem. You know, this stuff's good up to 400 degrees. And we're definitely not getting anywhere near that on this furnace. Especially not on the case. Okay, time to place our coil. It's basically going to go in the same way that the other one came out. Best I can. It's a little tough. Back here around the corner. Oh, you can see I got it up on there. Actually, oh, yeah, I forgot. With these Goodmans, there's a little couple metal pieces I gotta take off. I forgot about that. Okay. These here. So if the lips are turned up, which they are, you gotta take this piece off. This piece off. Alright, there's one. Always take a peek up in there, make sure there's no paperwork or anything like that. Looks pretty good. All right, one more time. Boom. Looks good. Oh, duct work. Bang my head about 20 times a day. Okay. Now, these guys, I don't use them. You know, these little pop-up guys. I use them. I just push them down, just like that. That one's down. Down. Okay. Alrighty. Looks good. I'm gonna pull out. We're gonna pull out that flexible transition. One thing I'm gonna do is cover up that coil so nothing drops down. Just gonna cover it up so nothing falls in there when I'm taking that piece out. Tabs. Tabs are a pain. Let's see. Yeah, they got the tabs up in there. They're tough to get out sometimes, but I just kind of pry them usually. Pry like this. Instead of undoing every single tab, you just jam your screwdriver up in there and give it a little love. And they'll usually bend. Normally what I like to do is I like to bend a lip down and put a piece of slip cleat, and then slide my transition right into it and then screw it down into the top of the coil. But we don't really have enough meat to do that here. I'll just bend down what we got. I'll jam a piece of S onto it and we'll make it work. And then in the back side, what I usually do here, and then in the front, I'll slide a piece of S onto there and screw up into it with a little flange on my transition. Unless, yep, it looks like I got enough space back here. The unit's actually, the coil is actually comes right about back here, so I have enough where I can bend a tab down, put a piece of S-cleat on it. So that's what I'm going to do for that, and I'm also going to do it for the front. So it's just the sides that are going to be a little bit different, but I will make it work. It'll look good. I'm going to take my bullnose snips and I'm going to cut this little the folded part off, because that's not really going to bend real well and work real well with my ass cleat. Cut that off. I like to use the bull noses for thick stuff, you know, sections that are like double wrapped like that and folded. Cutting S cleat, I use the bull nose snips. If you try to use the regular straight snips like this, it'll wear these out real fast. You start trying to cut S cleat and thick stuff with it. We're gonna do the same on the other. Nice to have these angled ones in spots where you can't, it's hard to get to. There's like a pipe like that. Alright. So I got my bucket hung up here with the line set. We're actually going to blow this line set out with some R11 flush, since we're changing from R22 to 410A and we're using the same line set. We are going to flush it out and get all of that oil out of there. Basically we just blow a solvent through and displaces that oil, sends it out the other end here. Steve will be outside shooting it into the pipe, so it may go off at any moment. It's probably 11.5 should do it. What I'll do with this S cleat is I cut it to about there, and if I need two of them, just bend it like that, cut it in the same spot. You're not measuring twice that way. Okay, that looks pretty damn good. $19. Now these we're going to have to open up pretty wide to get them on there. There's all like stuff like that. I'd like to get it over that. I can go under. Am I not? Oh, okay. Okay. And you can see that this is up higher than this one. So see solvent coming out of there and oil. I usually hold my hand under like this and see, like, once the oil stops coming, we're good. So I'll hold my hand here until I stop getting oil. It should just be solvent coming out. Feel dry. That's when you know you got it all. You don't want any oil left in that line because it can really mess up the new 410A system. Pretty good. Sometimes guys will just throw a little bit of solvent in there and a little bit of nitrogen and say, oh, I'm good. But that's when you end up coming with problems later. You know, you burn out a compressor, you wonder why. So you gotta make sure if you're gonna blow out line sets with R11 that you get all the oil out. Okay. At this point I think we'll be okay. So now it's time to do our actual transition piece. Alright, so we're ready to do our transition piece. As I said in the beginning, this is a double offset transition. So to me, that means you can see the coil is much wider than that small 12-inch duct that we're dealing with here. I think the system will run okay. The old system ran okay without icing up, so I think we're okay. Even though this thing looks wide as hell, it's only a 2.5 ton. But a double offset transition, so that means the transition is going to be on a slant this way, and it's going to be on a slant that way. So trying to figure out where this is going to land in the right angle to cut your transition is the hard part, and a lot of guys struggle with this. You know, guys will spend something like this, if they can even do it, they'll spend 3 hours making this transition, you know, cutting a million times, trimming, you know. And a double offset like this, normally, you know, if you got to trim a little bit here or there, it's no big deal. It happens, but if you measure it right, it should fit right in. You know, that's the trick to transitions and getting them done quick, is measuring it right. And then you cut it once, it slides right in, you're good to go. You don't even need to touch it. So that being said, I'll show you how I do it. And everybody has their own way, but with my way, you can do a transition even if this thing is in a closet and you can't get to any of the sides except the front. You could still build this transition if you do it this way. You know, when it's in a closet and you can't get to the sides, I'll usually fold my tabs on my panels in and screw them in from the inside, and then I put my front door on last. That's the trick to doing them in closets. If you have access, then I'll put my tabs on the outside and I'll screw it down into the coil case from the outside. So this one, this side, you can see it's tough to get to in between there. I probably could get to it with my snake driver, but this one here, I'll probably put them on the inside. I'll put my lip on the inside and screw it down, and it'll be good to go. So I'm going to do the back panel first. I always start with my back panel, and then I'll do this side, and I'll screw it in from the inside. And then I'll do my left side, and then finally the front. So let's start with the back. So get my Sharpie marker. We're going to take a measurement. Now the way the back panel is going to be, you have your back panel, and then there's going to be an ear going this way, we'll fold, and an ear going this way. And then we'll end up putting a piece of S-cleat on that ear, and then this panel will just slide right into the S-cleat. So what that means is whatever your distance is from here to here, you're adding 2 inches. So an inch for each ear that we're going to fold. So take my measurement, and I usually like my measurement to land right about there. If you see where I'm at, well, actually I'm going to land it out towards the outside of the case. And the reason is because I'm going to have an ear that's going to fold in on out here. So this panel is going to be over here towards the edge, the far edge of the case. So I kind of want my back panel ear to also be on the outer edge, not on the inner edge. So I'm going to measure from the outer edge here, and I'm actually going to measure to the inner edge here, because this is where this panel on this side is going to be on the inner edge. So what do we got? We got about 20 1/4. So we add 2 inches to that, and it's going to be 22 1/4. So that's going to be our first length. So we're going to draw a picture of basically what we're doing here, and we got a small guy like that. Geez, this Sharpie's not good. I might have to grab another one. And we're going to have something like this. That's basically going to be the shape of our back panel. Now this one down here is going to be 22.25, 22 1/4. Definitely need a new Sharpie. Okay, so we have our bottom measurement. Now we're going to get our top measurement. And the way I measure this is I'll measure from this S cleat to that S cleat. So that way it comes all the way to the corner, and then it looks like it could be out a little bit more, but we're going to make it 12. This one's going to flex a little bit, but 12 is good. So if that's 12 plus 2, 14. So we're looking at 14. Okay. Now I'm going to get my height, which looks about 20. Yeah, 20 will work. Be a little bit, 20 could be a little bit tight. We'll go on the short side of 20. And then we're going to add 1/2 inch because we're going to put a 1/2 inch lip in the back and screw it down. So we're looking at 20.5. So, if this were a offset with just one, a transition with just one offset, we'd be good. This is all we would need to do at this point, and we could go cut. But because there's a double offset this other side, we need to know essentially at least the distance on one. I'll show you. Let me see. I'll explain it. So basically, when we cut, this dotted line is going to be our sheet metal that we're going to cut from. Okay, and we need to know this distance right here, boop, boop, from there to there. We need to know that distance. If we know that distance, when we cut, we can mark that and then start our 14. So we put a little mark there, start our 14, and we're golden. And I'll show you what we do out there to get these angles. It's pretty easy, but we need to know that distance. So the trick that I do is alright, here's the trick. Here's the secret. Essentially what I do is, I'm gonna have to drop my level, but I'm going to set that right on the edge like that. I'm going to hold it until I see that bubble. Let me get this a good spot where that bubble's kind of in the center. and then I'm going to measure right to my S-cleat, which this S-cleat's going to bend out just a little bit more. It's good to have a magnetic tip there on your tape measure to help you move it all around, but basically we're looking at 2 1/4. I would say 2 1/4 is going to work out good. So that distance, 2.25. All right, now we got all the information we need. Okay, so ready to cut my back door, and if you look here, 2.25 off the edge of the sheet metal, so you can see I'm 2.5 off. I put my mark there, and then I start my 14. So you can see 2.25, then 14. That's what I got going on up there. And then measure down 22 1/4 or 20 and a half, and then 22 1/4 this way. So I got all my markings here. And now what we do is take a piece of S-cleat or drive, and you just put one side up there, one side here, and then draw a line. And that's how we get our angle. You're just measuring and then connecting the dots. And then we go from up there down to this corner. And there's our shape. And when you use these auto shears, you want to pick it up off the ground a little bit. Don't run this thing across the concrete because it'll leave a mark. Okay, so now we got to put our bends in for our little ears. And the way I do it, you can use a folding bar, or you can just do it like this. I usually do it this way. So I don't even use folding bars too much because I'm able to do my bends like this. And it's nice doing it this way because you can even do it on really big stuff. Basically, you fold it to like a 45-degree angle. Don't go all the way 90 degrees and then try to work across. Go 45 until you get to the end, and then go up to 90. There we go. There's one. too. And we gotta put a 1/2-inch lip on the bottom. So
cyborg head. They got like these wires.
you mean my head? You talking about my head cam?
Yeah, the headlamp. It's got like a wire. It's just
Yeah, it's got a light on it. There we go. Now we're gonna notch it up here. About 1 inch or so. That's how they typically should do. We might have to adjust it a little bit because our S cleats are off. Alright, so now we're going to put our side piece on back here. So let's measure. Man, this humidifier is really in the way. Alright. So I basically measure from the top of this cleat here. Looks like it's going to be about 20 and a half. Yeah. Plus we add a 1/2 inch. So roughly 20 and a half plus a 1/2 inch lip is going to be 21. About 19 and a quarter. Not bad. So this one is going to be $19.5. 21. Now, this is going to need to be 1/2 inch. So right there. Take this guy here, put it there. Boom. That's us. Man, pretty noisy.
Noisy town, or is it me?
Yeah, it's... and they keep parking over there. Like they hit the brakes when they get to that point. No wonder these folks are moving. It's like there's a train over there trying to stop. Loud as hell.
Done.
Looking good.
What? Hot. Touch it. My wife's going through. I walked over to her yesterday at the dinner table to give her some food out of the oven, and my pan accidentally hit her hand. She's like, "You burnt me!" She had a big burn on her hand.
Damn.
You're welcome.
Okay, that looks pretty good. Get that back there. Yeah. Okay. Measure from up here all the way down. It's going to be 21 and a half.
Oh, that's good. Oh, Justin.
Justin?
Huh?
Oh,
Hey, what's up?
Justin.
Hey, what's up, dude? How are you?
I'm good now, brother.
Good, man. Hey,
Appreciate you.
no problem, dude. I'll give you a call whenever we got something
I
around here.
appreciate you. I'm gonna pick it up and I'm going now. I got the guys with me.
All right, brother.
Love you guys.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Come on, guys.
21 and a half plus half is 22. Okay. Top is 19 and a half. Bottom is 19. We're just going to make it the same way as the other one, pretty much. There's an extra little bit longer on one side. So let's see, the top is 19 and a half. There. Looking at 22 going down. And 19, but it's coming in on a little offset, ½ inch. So we're gonna measure our 19 and a half. Let's see, 22. 22. And then 19 and a half from here. Alright. And then ½ inch here is right there. So
That's pretty bright, huh?
the sun?
Looking down on that piece of metal.
Yeah. All right.
Very good. 3/8 inch swag going on here. Swagging at high speed.
Swag. You're funny, man.
That's what it's called.
Oh, it's swedge.
I always call it swag. But look at the front of the.
I know. It says swag. Swage. Swage. Yeah. Trim that a little bit. Yep. Give her a little trim. A little tight over here with this pipe. I'll get it. No, I'm good. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't need help. There we go. There we go. Perfect. That's right where we want it. Good. Now it looks like the front is going to be the same as the back. I'm going to cut it the same. So it looks like it is about the same. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to cut the front door the same as the back door. And it's going to be this guy here. So we'll mark our 2 1/4. And then we'll go 14 from there. We're going to bring it down 20 1/2. And we're going to come over 22 1/4. It's right here. Now we just connect our dots. And that's it. So it'll sit like that, and then the ears are going to go that way. So we'll see if we have to trim this guy, because I made it the same as the back door. I usually measure each panel independently, you know, because stuff's different, stuff changes. But in this case, Steve was working there doing the line set, so I just figured I'll just make it. If I gotta trim it or change it, it'll be fine.
A little bit, yeah. I'm trying to find the thing. Hold on. Yeah, it's cool. One. Oh, wow, that's nice. That's good. Oh, yeah, that'll drop it off right there, man. Yeah, it's not far. I thought there was an exit at 8th Street. 8th and something. Ooh, oh, no. I meant the trolley to the L.
Probably not too easily. Alright. Put that side in first. Pretty hard with this vent pipe here. We'll get it. Okay. Pretty close. Fits like a glove. There you go. If you measure your stuff right, you can cut once and slide it right in. Maybe trim real quick with the auto shears here or there, but other than that, you don't have to, you know, make a lot of trimming, cutting, and messing with it. That stuff takes up a lot of time. That can put 45 minutes on your day. So we're in. Let me screw this down. In fact, I'm just going to put them on the sides and the front. There we go. have my big screws today. I usually like to use the 1/4 inch screws, but I'm all out, and so is Steve, so I'm using these 1 inch self-tapping 5/16, or maybe 3/4 inch, 3/4. I think we're screwed in pretty good now. All right, so that is a double offset transition. If you look, we got an offset here, I got an offset there. And if you measure it right, you can cut your 4 panels exact and they'll slide right in, not give you much problem, and you know, it won't take any more time off your day. Get used to doing it, and it'll be just like anything else, any other transition. You can fly right through it. I usually spend, if without interruptions, unless guys are trying to talk to me or people calling me, if I can run right through without interruptions, usually takes me probably 15 minutes per panel between measuring, cutting, bending, fitting it in, and zipping it in. Usually about 15 minutes per panel, so about an hour you can do a transition, if everything goes smooth. You got all your tools lined up, you know, you're not running around looking for a Sharpie marker. Yeah, so about an hour. You know, if everything's going wrong and your people are calling you and other stuff's happening, 2 hours at the most. You know, if it's taking you longer than that, then you need to practice or change your strategy a little bit. But that's pretty much it. I'm gonna put a little bit of silicone in like little corner holes like that, and up the top there, put some gray caulk, and it'll work just fine. All right, we're all done and just cleaning up. Another one down and on to the next one. So check out the outdoor unit. There she is. Just getting ready to turn her on. Thanks for watching, and give us a call for any residential or commercial heating and air conditioning needs. Thank you very much. Have a great day.